Here's a rephrased and smoothly structured version of those lines turned into paragraphs. The showdown that had been simmering for years finally erupted in the courts, a dramatic split, a fierce custody battle, and a ruling that could change everything. But what really happened behind the scenes? Why are fans calling it Christine's ultimate comeback and Kody's biggest defeat? Stick around, because this is the chapter they never wanted written. In November 2021, after nearly 3 decades together, Christine Brown announced she was leaving Kody Brown, her spiritual husband and the patriarch of the Brown family's plural marriage. The announcement stunned fans, though for those who followed the show closely, the signs had been there for some time. Christine was Kody's third wife in the plural marriage, a union that was never legally binding but deeply rooted in shared faith and lifestyle. She had long been a cornerstone of the Brown household, known for her upbeat personality and devotion to her children. Yet, beneath the surface, cracks were forming. Over the years, the Sister Wives series chronicled this slow unraveling. By the later seasons, Christine became increasingly vocal about feeling neglected and dismissed in the marriage. She expressed frustration over Kody's emotional absence and the lack of support, especially when it came to parenting decisions and her personal autonomy. Kody himself admitted on camera that he was no longer in love with Christine and even questioned whether he ever had been. The bond between them was clearly broken. A key moment came when Christine revealed that Kody had told her he no longer wanted an intimate relationship. For Christine, that was the final straw. In interviews, she later said she couldn't stay in a marriage where she felt unloved and unwanted. But her decision to leave was about more than just the breakdown of their relationship, it was also about forging a new path for herself and her youngest child, Truly. Christine made the difficult decision to leave Flagstaff, Arizona, where the Browns had relocated in 2018, and moved to Utah to be closer to her older children and extended family. Truly, just 11 at the time, moved with her. This relocation marked a bold step toward independence. In Utah, Christine was surrounded by support, including her daughter Aspen and Aspen's husband Mitch, who lived nearby. Christine had always dreamed of being near her children and grandchildren, and now she was finally making that dream a reality. Meanwhile, Kody remained in Arizona, living with his fourth wife, Robin, his only legal wife after divorcing his first wife, Mary, in 2014 to adopt Robin's children. Kody's close bond with Robin had long been a source of tension within the family. Christine and the other wives often voiced feelings of imbalance, noting that Kody seemed to favor Robin above the rest. As Christine built her new life in Utah, Kody's world in Flagstaff grew smaller and more isolated. Publicly, he released a statement acknowledging the split, expressing sadness but respecting Christine's decision. Christine, for her part, expressed gratitude for their years together but was clear about moving forward. Fans of Sister Wives witnessed the fallout unfold in real time on the show and social media. Christine grew more open, more vocal, and visibly happier. She documented her new life, sharing glimpses of her Utah home, adventures with Truly, and a growing sense of peace. Her departure marked a major shift in the Sister Wives dynamic. She was the first wife to leave and the first to challenge the family structure from within by walking away on her own terms. It was a powerful statement about love, marriage, self-respect, and personal growth. Christine's move also carried broader significance. For years, the show had portrayed plural marriage as a complex but workable lifestyle choice. Her departure disrupted that narrative, revealing the deep emotional costs plural marriage can entail, especially when one partner's needs go unmet. By the time Christine settled in Utah, she had already begun laying the groundwork for her next chapter. She launched a successful LuLaRoe business, built a strong social media following, and became an outspoken advocate for women's empowerment and personal boundaries. Embracing single motherhood, she celebrated milestones with Truly and reconnected with her older children, including Michael T., Paydon, and Isabel. Through it all, Christine's focus remained steadfast. She wanted a better life for herself and her children. Her exit was measured, determined, and the result of years of quiet discontent. While Christine seemed to be thriving in her new life, the same couldn't be said for the Brown family back in Arizona. The once unified plural household was now fractured in ways no one had anticipated. If you want, I can help continue or polish it further. Here is the rephrased and restructured version of your text in coherent, natural paragraphs. The cracks in the Brown family structure had become impossible to ignore. With Christine's departure, questions loomed about the future of the entire plural marriage. But by this point, Christine wasn't looking back. She had walked away from a lifestyle that no longer served her, and in doing so, had taken the first bold step on a path that would soon lead to even greater challenges and more significant victories. One of the most explosive developments came nearly 3 years later, when Christine took her fight from the cameras to the courtroom. On September 16, 2024, Christine Brown made her next decisive move, not on television, but in a Utah courthouse. After years of emotional distance and a physical split, she formally filed a lawsuit against Kody Brown, marking a dramatic escalation in their separation. The case centered on their shared daughter, Truly Grace Brown, and forced a long-overdue legal reckoning. While Christine had publicly embraced her transformation and new life, this legal filing signaled something new. She was no longer content with informal arrangements. She wanted clarity, protection, and above all, legal recognition, especially for Truly. According to court documents filed in Utah, Christine's petition had 3 primary components. She asked the court to establish Kody's legal paternity, grant her full physical and legal custody of Truly, and mandate child support payments. Additionally, she requested a domestic relations injunction, an order that would legally prevent either party from engaging in certain disruptive behaviors during the legal proceedings. These included bans on harassment, financial retaliation, and unilateral decisions such as taking Truly out of state without consent. These were not symbolic filings, each addressed critical legal gaps caused by the unique, non-legally binding nature of Christine and Kody's spiritual marriage. A particularly striking revelation in the court filing was that Kody Brown had never been listed on Truly's birth certificate. While he had publicly acknowledged paternity, this omission was reportedly deliberate, a decision made in 2010, during a time when the Brown family was still operating in legal gray zones due to Utah's then criminalization of polygamy. Leaving Kody's name off the certificate helped avoid legal scrutiny at the time, but it would later complicate custody and support matters. From the state's legal perspective, Kody had no parental rights. He couldn't make decisions regarding Truly's health, education, or travel, and Christine had no legal avenue to request financial support unless paternity was formally established. That's precisely what Christine asked the court to do. Her petition requested the legal system retroactively recognize Kody as Truly's father, something fans had always assumed, but which had never been officially codified. Once paternity was established, the court would have the authority to determine custody arrangements and financial obligations. Christine was clear in her request. She wanted full legal and physical custody, ensuring she would be the sole decision-maker and that Truly would primarily live with her. This reflected the reality that had existed since Christine's move to Utah. Truly had been living exclusively with her mother, enrolled in school, and building a life separate from Kody's household in Arizona. In addition to seeking legal custody, Christine also asked the court to order Kody to pay child support. Though the specific amount was not publicly disclosed, Utah law provides guidelines based on parental income and the percentage of custody. With Christine requesting full custody, Kody would likely be held financially responsible for a substantial share of Truly's living expenses, including healthcare, education, and day-to-day costs. The domestic relations injunction served as a critical legal safeguard. It prohibited both parties from interfering in each other's financial decisions, restricted their ability to remove Truly from her established schooling or home without mutual agreement, and included protections against harassment or intimidation. This clause offered Christine legal security as the case unfolded and underscored the seriousness of her position. While neither Christine nor Kody made immediate public statements following the filing, the message was unmistakable. Christine was no longer waiting for cooperation or informal understanding. She wanted legal enforcement, clearly defined rights, and recognition of the fact that she had long been Truly's primary caregiver. What had once been a private family matter was now an official legal case. The era of vague spiritual commitments and undocumented parental roles was over. Christine was demanding accountability, and the courtroom would decide what came next. Here is the rephrased and structured version of your text in clear, natural paragraphs. The emotional negotiations that had once defined Christine and Kody's relationship had come to an end. With her lawsuit, Christine drew a definitive legal line, one that cut straight through the courtroom. This legal action would serve as the foundation for everything that followed: custody hearings, financial disputes, and public revelations about Kody's actual involvement as a father. But at its core, it was a matter of justice, a mother seeking legal clarity and a daughter finally being brought under the full protection of the law. The next chapter in this legal battle began on December 1, 2024, when Christine and Kody Brown faced each other once again, this time not in person, but through a video conference. Their long-simmering family dispute had now entered the formal legal system. Though the hearing itself was closed to the public, official Utah court records confirmed its significance. The case was designated as a Track 3 matter, a classification used in high-conflict custody disputes. This legal label wasn't given lightly; it signaled to the court that this was more than a routine disagreement. Track 3 cases often involve intense emotional strain, contested parental rights, and in some instances, claims of manipulation or alienation. This designation also meant the court anticipated a difficult road ahead. Track 3 cases are subject to slower timelines and heightened scrutiny. Judges, evaluators, and mediators assigned to such disputes typically have specialized training in high-conflict family dynamics. These cases often include child psychologist evaluations or the appointment of parenting coordinators. In other words, Christine and Kody's battle over custody had officially entered a more serious, carefully managed legal phase. Despite the public perception of Christine's independence in Utah and Kody's ongoing life in Arizona, the December hearing confirmed that their underlying custody conflict remained unresolved and far from amicable. Both had retained legal counsel, both were prepared to assert their claims, and both, according to court records, disagreed fundamentally on the future of their daughter. No final decisions were made during this initial hearing. Its purpose was procedural, setting timelines, establishing expectations, and mandating the next legal step: mediation. In Utah family court, mediation is standard, but in Track 3 cases, it's often mandatory and more intensive. The judge scheduled Christine and Kody for a formal mediation session on May 21, 2025, nearly 6 months after the hearing. The extended timeline reflected the complexity of the dispute and the court's desire for both parties to come prepared with evidence, affidavits, and a readiness to negotiate custody, visitation, and communication plans in a supervised environment. Unlike a trial, mediation is designed to encourage compromise. A neutral third-party mediator helps parents explore common ground and create a workable parenting plan. But in high-conflict cases like this one, such sessions often end in deadlock. Christine and Kody's long and public history of mistrust, emotional tension, and broken communication would make finding consensus especially difficult. Still, the court made it clear a mediated solution was preferred. A successful mediation could spare both sides the emotional and financial toll of a full custody trial and offer a more stable future for their daughter. Whether either party would be willing to compromise remained uncertain. By this time, Christine had been living full-time in Utah with Truly for several years. Kody, still based in Arizona, had played no visible role in Truly's day-to-day life. Christine's earlier filings suggested she would use mediation to formalize this reality through sole custody. Kody's stance, however, had not been publicly disclosed. Whether he intended to seek shared parenting or contest Christine's claims would likely become clear during the May session. While the December hearing lacked the drama some observers might have anticipated, it marked a pivotal escalation. What had once been a private separation was now a formal legal dispute overseen by a judge. For years, Kody had operated as the family's patriarch and primary decision-maker. But in this Utah courtroom, that dynamic had shifted. Christine had taken formal steps to level the legal playing field, and the state was now watching. More importantly, the December hearing placed their daughter Truly at the heart of the matter in a new and sobering way. This was no longer just a story about a fractured relationship; it had become a legal process with direct implications for a child's future. Custody classifications, court orders, and mediation schedules would now shape the outcome. From this point forward, every legal move would impact Truly's stability, security, and well-being. Here is your revised and restructured content as polished paragraphs with clear transitions and emotional nuance. As the calendar turned toward 2025, the stakes grew higher for both Christine and Kody Brown. With a court-mandated mediation deadline of May 21 looming, each side was on the clock. They had just a few months to prepare their arguments, negotiate potential terms, and either reach a resolution or set the stage for a full-scale custody trial. A trial, if it came to that, could expose even more of their deeply fractured relationship to public and legal scrutiny. What had started as emotional fallout had now transformed into a legal battle centered on child custody classifications, court timelines, and judicial oversight. And whether through compromise or further escalation, it was clear the battle wasn't over. It was simply entering its next and most consequential phase. Christine's legal victory came in May 2025 after months of legal wrangling and emotional uncertainty. In a decisive child support ruling, she was granted full custody of her youngest daughter, Truly Grace Brown, along with a court-ordered child support arrangement from her ex-husband, Kody. For Christine, it marked the culmination of a long and private fight finally resolved in her favor. For Kody, it was a loss, one that hurt both financially and reputationally. According to court records and multiple media reports, the judge awarded Christine full physical and legal custody. This gave her sole authority to make all major decisions about Truly's life, schooling, medical care, and living arrangements, responsibilities she had already shouldered alone since moving to Utah in 2021. But perhaps the most significant part of the ruling was the court's mandate for Kody to pay child support. After nearly 13 years of co-parenting without any formal legal structure, Kody was now legally obligated to provide financial assistance. While the specific amount wasn't disclosed publicly, Utah law bases child support on income levels and custody share. With Christine granted full custody, Kody's required contribution was expected to be substantial. For many observers, the ruling confirmed what Christine had long argued: she had been Truly's sole provider and primary parent since leaving Arizona. She had borne the emotional and financial burden without formal recognition or support. Now, with the court's decision on record, she had both. Insiders described Christine's reaction as one of relief, tinged with emotion. Though she had built a new life with strength and independence, the strain of doing it all without legal protection had taken a toll. With the ruling, that weight began to lift. Privately, she was even reported to have said, "It's time to pay up for everything I've been through." For Kody, however, the outcome was a bitter pill. Sources close to the family revealed that during the legal process, he attempted to negotiate informal visitation rights in exchange for avoiding child support payments. But the court rejected that approach, seeing it as an attempt to sidestep responsibility. The judge sided firmly with Christine. And Kody? He was furious. Christine didn't shy away from voicing her frustrations either. In a moment that grabbed headlines, she referred to Kody as a deadbeat dad during the proceedings, a sharp and deliberate accusation. Her words reflected years of unresolved frustration over what she described as Kody's emotional and financial absence in Truly's life. The contrast was stark. Early seasons of Sister Wives portrayed Kody as a committed, involved father. But in Christine's telling, and increasingly, in the court's view, that image had not held up, at least not when it came to Truly. As Truly grew older, Kody's presence reportedly faded, particularly after Christine's move to Utah. Fans of the show noticed it too. Truly was rarely seen at family events in Arizona, while Christine's social media posts consistently showed just the two of them, together. The court's ruling seemed to affirm what many had long suspected: Kody had not played an active co-parenting role. Beyond its legal implications, the decision carried symbolic weight. For years, Kody had dominated the family dynamic, often acting as the final authority within the Brown household. He shaped the structure, made the rules, and rarely faced serious challenge. But this time, it was Christine who took charge. She didn't ask for his permission. She went to court, invoked the law, and won. It was a turning point, not just for her, but for the entire narrative surrounding the Brown family. Christine had been the first of the wives to leave. Now, she was the first to legally challenge Kody and force accountability beyond the realm of reality television. In doing so, she may have set a precedent for other women in informal or plural relationships where legal protections are murky or non-existent, especially when children are involved.